Good morning. Welcome to Dreams Recycled podcast, when we talk to people who have recycled their lives after divorce into something bigger and better. Today, I'm excited to have Jenniferlynn Gray, who has a great story of how she recycled not just her life, but also her body after divorce. And we're going to be talking to her because what's fascinating about when I talk to the many divorcees I've talked to is everybody has a unique story, and there's not necessarily a right or wrong way to get from A to B. There are some positive steps everyone can take, but just I think listening to other people's stories is just really helpful and inspiring. So thank you, Jenniferlynn, for coming on. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm great today. Thank you.
So tell me, so how long were you married before you got divorced?
So I was married for 9 years by the time the divorce was completed.
Right. Which, did you know, statistically, that's 100%, you're right on the money, because statistically, most people get divorced at an average of 8 years and 9 months.
How about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's the only thing that makes me average.
Oh. Okay, so when you got divorced, tell me a little bit about the situation you found yourself in. Were you a career person? Were you a stay-at-home mom? What were you doing?
So I was a career person. I worked for a large pharmaceutical company, and I had for quite some time leading up to my divorce, prior to my divorce. So I was the primary breadwinner in the relationship. So that part wasn't really the challenge for me. I think more of the challenge for me was, the whole situation around my divorce and how it left me feeling less than somehow, even though I was successful in my career.
Which I think is quite common, right? Like we kind of can sometimes get on these tracks with our career and we think it's something we want to do forever, but then we realize it really isn't.
Right. And, I think you have a handle on things at work, but you don't have a handle at things at home. So that's a little bit of a disconnect as well.
Yeah.
And then you go through something like what I went through, and it makes you rethink things.
So no, and I think that's true. And I think that that's a positive, right? Isn't that a positive of divorce, that we get to kind of reassess our life and what we actually really want, as opposed to what maybe we had settled on during our marriages because it fit a certain thing? I mean, I talk to a lot of women, and actually even a lot of men, who during their marriages felt like they couldn't start a new career or change job or whatever, because you get tied into that kind of that mortgage payment and that house and the kids' school zone and whatever else it is, and your flexibility and your options actually become less and less unless you really work together to figure out a new way. And so I definitely tell people that's a positive of divorce. You really get to kind of reassess what you're really passionate about and follow those new dreams and passions. So tell me about the new passion that you found after your divorce, because I think it's fascinating.
Well, I do always say to people now that my divorce was like one of the best things that's ever happened to me.
Oh.
It didn't feel like it at the time, but it absolutely is. Like, my life is completely different. It's done a complete 180. And, I started finding my passion really afterwards, after my divorce. I needed something to concentrate on rather than what was going on. And for me, that was fitness. I had started with...
Can I just ask you, had you been somebody who was like super, super fit and going to the gym every day during your marriage?
No, not at all. And if anything, I probably was more fit before I'd gotten married, but then my ex had some really bad habits, and I, kind of followed along, and I found myself heavier and feeling lethargic and more than I ever had in my life, really. So
it is hard. It is hard. I just talked to somebody the other day about this too. It is hard that we kind of take on the negative traits of our spouses, because you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and you're definitely the sum of your spouse when you live with them. And if they unhealthy, you tend to eat more unhealthy. If they like to sit around, you tend to morph into that as well. So that was good.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. So, my sister actually had brought it up, and she says to me, "Hey, why don't we run a 5K?" like, I don't run. I don't run unless there's zombies chasing me. Like, how am I going to run a 5K? Okay.
Aww.
But, you know, so she and I kind of teamed up and egged each other on, and we went through a Couch to 5K program, and we ran our first 5K. And then we decided we wanted another challenge, and we signed up for one of those 5K obstacle races that scared the life out of us. I was so terrified to do it.
Yeah,
but it was awesome.
The foam and the paint and the mud and all that stuff.
Yeah, we did one of the mud runs, and we had so much fun that, you know, like, what's next? That wasn't. Yeah. I thought it was going to be such a big challenge, but I surprised myself by doing that. I was terrified to do that. It put me way outside my comfort zone. But once it was done, I was like, okay, what's next? What can we do? What's a little harder? What's a little more challenging? You know, so then we did our 10K obstacle race, and
very cool.
you know, that was challenging. We were good, and my sister had said, oh, you know, I'm going to train for a half marathon. Well, again, back to the zombie comment. Like, I am not. Yeah, we did the 5K, but that's not my thing. Running was not my thing. And I had actually gone to a women's conference for work, my job at the time.
Yeah.
And I had met a woman who had competed in bikini competitions,
like the
type of
Miss
competitions,
like the, you know, where okay. Very cool.
Yeah, so it's just, you know, there's a lot of different organizations that do these type of competitions, and it's 100% physique. It's what your body looks like, and that's what you get judged on. And you know, I looked at her.
Wasn't that terrible?
Oh yeah, I looked at her muscles, and I was like, this is what I want to do. You know, and the following week I signed up with a coach. And I think it was 4 months after that, I stepped on stage in a little itty bitty bikini, and I actually placed 4th place in an international competition.
Wow, that's
which,
crazy.
God, who would have ever thought? Like, I never would have thought that. So
how make me feel really, really bad, considering I'm in a slump where I'm not working out very much. Tell me how much you had to train every day to get to that level. Probably more than 20 minutes a day, right?
Yes, it was more than 20 minutes a day. But, you know, I'm an all-natural athlete, which means, you know, I don't take any supplements or anything like that. I work out, I do weight training, and this is even still, I currently, you know, keep the same training routine. I do weight training for about 45 minutes to an hour a day, 5 days a week.
Wow.
And then I'd probably do 30 minutes of cardio 2 or 3 times a week total.
Right.
So, I mean, it's work. You put the work in the gym, but it's also work in the kitchen. It's a lot of work in the kitchen.
That's what I was going to say. So how much of your success do you put down to not just weight training and cardio, but how much to what you put in your body, the food you eat, and what kind of food do you eat? Besides, obviously,
so I'd say
McDonald's.
Yeah, Oh no, no, not at all. You know, you hear all the time that abs are made in the kitchen, and it's you know, 80% of how you look and what your body is capable of is what you're fueling it with, and that's absolutely true. I mean, there was a period where I had a shoulder injury, so I was not able to train like I was training, but by staying on track with my nutrition, I was able to maintain my level of fitness and, you know, just my body composition, really. So, and that's by eating clean. And when you say eating clean, that basically means, you know, how they say, shop around the outside of the store,
right,
you know, lots of fruits and vegetables and lean proteins and limited amounts of carbohydrates in pure form, you know, like rice and sweet potatoes and that kind of thing, as opposed to pasta and cookies.
So no sprinkle cookies for me. That's sad. You're bursting my body.
I know. You know, my downfall are cupcakes.
So you like sprinkles too. So my downfalls are sprinkles. Yeah. If somebody give me a big jar of sprinkles, I'll be happy, girl.
Oh gosh. The frosting. I love the frosting.
So
and I mean, I don't deprive myself, but yeah, I still have a cupcake every once in a while.
Oh, well, good for you. I'm sure you deserve that. So along with becoming a fitness model and doing so well in those international competitions, which congratulations, that's awesome achievement.
Thank you.
By anyone's standards. So well done. How much do you think getting your body healthy and eating healthy contributed to kind of your success in your personal life and emotionally getting over your divorce? Because I found during my divorce, and I've written this in my book, the first chapter kind of addresses this, my book, My Dreams Recycled, that I used fitness during my divorce as a stress relief. And I didn't do it in a healthy way. I was running 5, 7, 10 miles a day in just like tears, probably, like
yeah,
as a stress reliever. But I do realize now in hindsight that eating healthy and living a healthy lifestyle, exercising, etc., can be very, very beneficial going through the divorce process, because healthy body helps with a healthy mind. And I think that there's a big correlation that nobody really talks about or discusses a lot about when you're going through your divorce. We talk about behaviors, don't get upset and try and be positive and whatever, but I think there are just practical health things that you can do. So what would you suggest to the average divorcee who maybe is sitting there on their sofa eating Haagen-Dazs currently, is feeling very down and depressed? Like, what can they do from a health aspect that you think would help them with the mind aspect?
So this is really my whole focus in my coaching, is how you work on the outside and it helps you on the inside. It is a little bit difficult to get the motivation to get up off the couch and put down the pint of Haagen-Dazs, but I feel like there's so many things when you're going through a divorce or after your divorce. There's so many things that are up in the air. There's so many things that you don't know what's going on with. There are so many things that you do not have control over. But the one thing that you have control over is you, your choices, your body, your health. You determine what you're going to look like and feel like and act like that day. And if you can make some commitments to that, it's going to change you on the inside as well. You make the commitment, you start eating healthy, you step away from the Haagen-Dazs and instead you have a big salad or something, you start, for me, when I was weight training, I had never done some of this stuff before, but every week I would get stronger, and every week I would surprise myself, and every week I'd be like, wow, if I could do that I could never ever have thought that I could do in the past, what else can I do? What else can I do? It really gave me the confidence to go forward with my life, not just,
isn't that
not
true,
just
though?
in fitness, but everything. Yeah.
And I think you hit on a good point, because I think that applies to all aspects of divorce. One of the hardest things, I think, during the divorce process and even after, when you have a settlement or a custody situation that really isn't fair, which is obviously, happens to a high percentage of people, if you feel like you're in control of all the things you can control in your life, like you're in control of how your body looks, you're in control of, maybe the house you live in, you're in control of the grocery store you go to and what you eat. Those little things that you have control over really propel you to feel more empowered to do a lot more positive things. As you said, it's like a building block to positivity and to change and to the new bigger dreams that you're building. And I don't think you can put a price on that, really, because I think that overall probably is the biggest thing that I learned through my divorce, is you really have to put all your time and energy and focus into the things that you can control, and anything you can't control, you really have to let that go, because that's just waste of time, energy, effort, anxiety, stress, etc., and it doesn't get you anywhere. So
exactly.
So,
and
go ahead.
You made a good point about, the exercise being a good stress relief. If you use it appropriately, right, it helps with that anxiety that you're going to feel. I mean, it's there. You can't ignore it completely, but you can help that feeling. You can help feel better. You can help yourself feel better. I mean, there's all the scientific information out there about how exercise releases endorphins and everything else, all those feel-good hormones.
Yeah.
It's true.
Well,
but just beyond that.
Well, I was going to say, and let's get real for a minute. I think we're all up to a point guilty of during our marriages. Okay, not all, but quite a high percentage will admit to this. I think that we're guilty of during our marriage maybe not being the best version of us that we could be, because you combine like heavy work schedules, sedentary life, a bunch of kids running around. It really is hard in a married situation to stay super fit and healthy, and maybe because we're married and we're lulled into a false sense of that we never have to go on a dating app again. But I tell people, you should always, after your divorce, attempt to be the best version of yourself you can be. And that's, mentally the best version, physically the best version, academically, whatever it is, because you have an opportunity to redo all that. And unfortunately, life is competitive. And so when you go on a dating app and people will get upset and they'll say, well, people should just love me for me or whatever, which is true. But unfortunately, the way
they see that picture.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the reality is of online dating, the photo is what makes somebody want to talk to you. You have to have basic attraction. And, you need to update your wardrobe. You need to be the best version of you can be, because I'm sure you maybe have been on an app. I don't know. I've been on 400. So I'm like an expert on this, that you have, there's never ending 5'8" brown hair girls of my age. So whether you think it's competition or not, it kind of has that element to it. So you have to put your best foot forward, and then of course once they meet you, if they like, they're either going to like you for your personality or not, and that's a whole different subject. You'll have chemistry or not, but that's the way it is. You may as well take this opportunity called divorce and turn it into something positive physically also. So
yes. So I'll tell you the even happier part of this ending is that I did meet my current husband online.
Oh, yay! And I bet you used a good picture, Jenniferlynn.
Well, it's funny because it was a picture of my back. I was flexing my back. It wasn't even a picture of my face. And he's like, hey, nice back. We laugh about that all the time. But, he's pretty fit himself, He has kind of a similar story where he got himself back into shape and after his divorce. So he was, at the time that we met, he's doing CrossFit and I'm doing my thing. And that's really, so it's not just fitness helped me feel better about myself. Like fitness helped me find my soulmate.
Yeah. But isn't that a good thing too? So you're doing something you're passionate about, which is another element to divorce, right? I feel like if you follow your passion, you attract other people with the same passion as you. I'm a big fan of meetups. People are like, what's meetups? And it's, if you haven't been on there, it's an internet site. It's not for dating. It's not for dating. People are like, sounds like a dating site. It's not a dating site. It's where you can connect with other people in your area in actual real life form who, maybe you're all tech gurus, or you're all interested in marketing, or you're all interested in fitness or Chinese food or whatever it is. And I think that if you really, follow your passion and you are true to yourself, and you will kind of gravitate to other people like that, who then, as you just said, will actually long-term be a better fit for you when you get remarried or whatever else. And I think that's a great thing. So I think that we should all be doing that, following our passion, making sure we're surrounding ourselves with people who have the same kind of goals and likes and things that we have, and putting our best foot forward always.
Yeah, and even not even my husband, but some of my best friends I met through fitness. And, we would train, we were part of the same online coaching program. So one of my very good friends, actually, I just saw her last week for the second time ever. And it's been, the first time I saw her was we were doing a show together. We were doing competition together 2 years ago. But you know, I talk to her almost every Friday. We, you know, bounce ideas off each other. We were part of some of the same Facebook groups and that kind of thing. And it is funny. It's that, you know, it was all because of fitness that, you know, she's now one of my best friends.
Oh, well, that's great. And that's true too. You really do need to make new friends. Like, you can't be third wheeling with your married friends after your divorce. So that's another important aspect. People need to get out there and in real life, not just virtually, and connect with other people who have the same interests, make new friends, because we're not all ready to date right away or, you know, have any interest in that. And I highly advise you don't sit on the sofa for every weekend you don't have your children or you're alone. You really need to get out and explore the world. So we recommend that.
Yeah, and for me, that was my alone time, right? But after my divorce, that was me working on me, was with the fitness and everything that went along with that. And it made it so that I was prepared when, you know, my perfect match walked into my life. Because if I didn't take that time out to work on myself, to really be okay with me and to know and to realize what my passions were and what directions I wanted to go in moving forward with my life, I would never be able to make it work with another person again before that happened.
Yeah. So how long were you divorced before you got remarried?
Let's see. We will be celebrating our 1-year anniversary next weekend.
Oh, congratulations.
My husband and I.
Yeah,
yes, thank you. And we weren't together very long when we got engaged. Let me think. I was divorced for 2 years, I believe, when we met. Yeah. So it was a good 2 years when I had time to work on me.
Oh, well,
figure my stuff out.
Well, awesome. So now tell us about what you do now. So now you no longer work in the corporate world. Now you are a health, fitness, and life coach, correct?
Yes. Yep. I do. And I started doing that because I want to show other people that, you know, you feel like you're in the worst place of your life. You feel like your life is falling apart. You feel like you're all alone, left to pick up the pieces, and you're not alone. There are so many people in the same boat, first of all. And second of all, it's you can come back stronger and more empowered and better than you ever were. Like you were saying, you know, after you get divorced, that's your opportunity to find the best version of you and to keep improving upon yourself every day.
Well, No, that's awesome. I totally agree. And I was going to say, and I also think, you know, there's a benefit to being a little bit older. Most of us went, you know, by the time we've been through our first marriages, some of us our second, it's, you know, we're a little bit older and hopefully a little bit wiser, that we're more in touch with ourselves and what we really like and what we really want. And we can kind of in a stronger, more empowered way, focus on the things that are really important to us. Whereas maybe in our 20s, you know, we were a bit kind of all over the place. We weren't really sure, which is why a lot of us entered into marriages with people that were so incredibly wrong for us, right? Because we just didn't know ourselves then.
Well, and I think, so I was 41 when I got divorced, and there was a big part of me that was like, oh my gosh, I'm in my 40s, you know, what does this mean? What does dating look like in your 40s, or what's gonna happen in the future, or am I too old, or, you know, you have all these things that go through your head. And you know, I'm passionate about letting people know, like, you're never too old and it's never too late.
No. So did you have any I have to ask you, because I just like asking people this. Did you have any horrible dating stories from online dating before you met your lovely husband?
You know, I think what you said about us being a little bit older and wiser, I really wasn't into playing the game. I wasn't, like, it was just, I was kind of like, nope.
Like,
stop talking to me.
Next.
Oh my God, I'm blocking you. I had one guy. Yeah, I had one guy. I didn't meet him. He was just messaging me, and he asked me how long I'd been divorced. I'm like, oh, I've been divorced for a year. You know, at that point it had been a year I'd been divorced. And he's like, don't you think you should take a little bit more time before you jump back online for dating? I'm like, blocked.
Oh, yeah. No, it
Yeah,
definitely takes all types, and it definitely, like I said, it's definitely an interesting ride, online dating, if nothing else. It's a fascinating kind of view into humanity, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the just plain out weird, I think. So
yeah. I mean, there was another guy that he seemed cool, and we just couldn't manage to find a time to meet up. So, I think you can tell a lot by that too, right? Okay, if we can't even meet up for a first date and we're interested in each other, what is this going to be like in the future? Okay, let's just stop it now.
Well, and I was going to say, and I also have to think maybe that's a red flag that person wasn't using their same photos or whatever. I mean, I encountered that a couple times. People who just want to constantly, but they don't actually want in person. And after encountering it a couple times, I really started to think, you know what, they're either married, they're either living with somebody in a relationship, or they're using the wrong photos. Because as you said, if you're motivated to meet somebody, you get off your butt and go meet them, right? So I would say it's a big red flag. And there are so many married men on online dating, and I actually hear there are quite a few married women on there too. So
I'm sure it is. I know it could go either way, right? Like I met my husband online, and but that doesn't always happen either. I have so many friends who've tried online dating, and they're like, oh my God, I'm done with it. I'd rather be alone.
Yeah. Well, and I think the thing about dating, whether it's online or in person, there's a big thing to be said for dating with intent. There's a big thing at the beginning when you first get divorced, to date yourself and only date for fun, which is what I advocate. Yep. I went on 400 dates. It is what it is. It was fun. I didn't have any plan on actually being in a relationship with any of these people, but I had never actually dated in my entire life. I had always been married. I was like a kid, and then I was married, and then I was married for 100 years. So I just had that time to be like, what do I like? What don't I like? Okay, that's annoying. Okay, that part is okay. And I think as long as you're honest with people and you put that out there, people will still want to go out with you and have, meet you and talk to you and whatever. It doesn't have to be a thing. I think a lot of online dating issues come from deceit, when people lie about their dating.
Oh, absolutely.
Or they're married.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I wasn't messing around. It's hard to meet people when you're in your 40s, right? Where are you going to go? You're not in college anymore. You're not just, at these local places all the time. It's hard. I think we don't have as many options available, and online dating seems to be like a great option. It's just weeding through and finding the people that are being authentic. I put myself out there in an authentic fashion, and I was hoping or trusting that I would find somebody else who was doing the same, and I did.
Right.
I'm one of the lucky ones, but
but I think that's because you set the intent, right? You set the intent that you wanted somebody like X, Y, and Z, and you only accepted somebody X, Y, and Z. Whereas I think what happens is you might have kind of a wishy-washy intent, like, oh yeah, we'd all like to meet the one. But we get kind of caught up in these kind of secondary relationships with other people where you go like, oh, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They check a bunch of different boxes. We kind of know that they're not 100%, but you're kind of, you're test driving them, right? Basically. Mm-hmm. But really, as I've been divorced longer and dated more people, and I realize that this doesn't work. This doesn't work long time. So, which leads me to the question, how long after you met your now husband did you know that he was the one?
2 months.
And almost
immediately. Immediately. Absolutely.
And that's what I hear from just about everyone. You know or you don't know. You have that feeling that you're putting a round peg in a square hole, or you just know.
We knew. We both knew right off the bat. No question about it. We'd look at each other and shake our heads, be like, okay, are we being crazy? Because, we're already talking, it's 2 months in, you're already hardly ever going home. We put a a deadline on it. Like, okay, we're going to move in together when we've been together for 6 months, only because of what, I mean, it's silly, but we were worried about what other people would think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we didn't really want to look like, we were rushing into anything, even though we knew where we were at, you know, and we were engaged in 11 months and we got married 5 months after that.
Aww.
So yeah, it was very quick. We knew right away.
Yeah. Well, that's lovely. And I think that that's what people should aim for, right? Knowing, not having that feeling like you're trying to make something work that really doesn't.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think if you're trying too hard, it's not, it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, the first time you and I touched base, I think I told you this, and you have a similar story, is that when I before I got divorced from my ex, I was really struggling with what I should do. And I wrote down in my journal, like, what kind of man do I need as a husband? And I wrote down all these characteristics. And it was, at the time, it was, you know, should I stay married to him or not stay married to him? And it served two purposes. One, that list made me realize that he was not the person for me, and I did need to divorce him. And two, I went back and found that list after I met my current husband, and he checks every single box. It is like I manifested my perfect mate by writing it all down. Like, what do I want? This is what I want. And I won't accept anything less than this. And that's exactly what I got.
Wow, that's an awesome story. And I'm so grateful to you for coming here today. And I appreciate your time. And so, Jenniferlynn, tell us how our listeners can reach you. How can they get hold of you for any information they need on health or fitness or life coaching?
All right. You can email me at jenniferlynnGray1@gmail.com. I do have a website, which is jenniferlynngray.com, no spaces. And I'm also on Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming on today. We will put your contact information in the blurb. You can look for this podcast on our website, Dreams Recycled, and obviously on iTunes. This podcast today was brought to you by the Roberts Family Law in Orlando, Florida. Check them out. Ask for David or Laura. And that's it for today. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Jenniferlynn, and we'll be back next week.